Violet Winds, Applejack, A True Love by Swedish W. Like every morning at Sweet Apple Acres, Applejack always wakes up just before the sun arises. She always eats her breakfast, and when the sun had just arisen up in the sky, she always starts to feed the animals just before even her siblings have waken up. Just when her siblings are awakened, she has already started to do her chores on the farm by packing some apples, and Big Mac and always has said to her, "Why don't you take a little bit break from all the work?" But Applejack always said back to him, "But I can't. I have much to work. I have much chores to do. I have to deliver some apples into town, and have to take care of the animals, and have to take care of the apples." "Just slow down, Applejack. You always work so hard. Don't you know that too much work it always costs you pain? Have you noticed that one last time you worked so hard, you had to be in bed for almost a week? Have you always forgot about that?" And Applejack hasn't forgotten, but she wants to work because that has she will always love. "But I can't take a break. You know that, Big Mac." "Oh, Applejack, you know what I am always telling you. And you remember about Father? He did the same thing for 2 days. He always had almost no sleep. But this, you going in with the same footprints as he did. You had to calm down. You can't let Applebloom or me take care about all some of the shorts as well. You have not to take care of all our works as well. If you do that, you will be burned out of all this energy and so much work. You know that." And Applejack was just quiet because she has never been so lectured by Big Mac so before. "All right, Big Mac, you're right. I'm sorry." "Good. Can you take care of some of the apples trees in itself?" "Yup," said Big Mac, and took some basket and left. "I can help too," said Applebloom. "All right, I will take care here," said Applejack. The rest of the afternoon, Applejack helped her family take care of some of the apples and some animals. Later, she took a levy of apples to town to sell at the market. At the same time at the market, Violet Winds was there to look for something fresh to eat, some to lunch, and some breakfast. He hasn't been eating breakfast lately, so he's decided to go to market to find something so fresh to eat. But so far he hasn't found any fresh fruit until Applejack arrived with some apples. She gave him a bag of apples just for free because he is a good friend of her and he helped her 2 days earlier at the farm. "Oh, thanks, Applejack. I needed it." "You're welcome," said Applejack. And then Applejack didn't know that Violet Winds had been in love with her for the last 2 months. He hasn't even told any other ponies except two ponies. Rarity and Applejack. No, Twilight were only ponies that knows about his feelings for Applejack. He wanted to tell her how much he feels for her, but at the same time he wanted to tell her, but also at the same time he was scared. How would she react? For most part, he dreams a lot about her, but just standing there on the bridge of the park, just daydreaming about her and him walking together, laughing. But at the same time, he wants to be with her, and at the same time, he's scared to tell her how he really feels for Applejack. And even Applejack has some affections to Violet Winds, because he has been there so much for her as help at the farm, and anytime she needs help, even when to look after Applebloom sometimes. Even Applebloom often says to her sister that she need any babysitter. But But sometimes even Apple Bloom likes that Violet Winds look after her, even if it's not all the time, just a few from time to time. But for one day, Violet Winds was just out in the park, just playing his guitar, and didn't pay much attention around what's happening. Then, he was playing a music song which he wrote about his true love and unanswered love. The song was about Applejack. He even played the song with the name. He even sang when he's playing. He called it AJ. Love AJ. He didn't notice when he was playing the song. One pony heard about the song. And the pony said, "That was a lovely song." And he said, "Thanks. It is about me." And then he didn't notice at first. He looked up and saw her right in front of him. He was now so shocked to see Applejack standing in front of him, and he was scared. He didn't know exactly how to respond to her, and she was just standing there and smiling, and the only thing he did was grab the guitar and fly away so as fast as he could. He flew all the way back home. He was so scared. He blocked the window, pulled the curtains, and blocked the door, locked the door, and lay on the floor and saying to himself, "What did I say? Why couldn't I even tell her?" He was so scared. But at the same time when he left, Applejack, she was so much in shock. She didn't know exactly how to respond either. Just before she could say anything more, he just took off. Applejack didn't say much. She just wondered what's going on. She didn't know exactly how to respond back. And what else could she do? She didn't know exactly how to say anything special. So she went to Rarity's boutique to ask her if she knows something about this. And she had promised Violet Winds not to tell any details or almost anything about his feelings for Applejack. But when she told Rarity about that, she had heard Violet Winds singing the song with her name in it. Then Rarity explained what she had been told about him to Applejack, and then she realized how much he really loved her. And she didn't know how to react either. Because she hadn't even noticed at first, because every time he just looked at her, he always smiled at his... And Rarity said, "Well, it is obvious that he loves you. Have you even noticed that, Applejack?" "No, I haven't," said Applejack even back. "Well, my advice to you is to talk to him. Talk to him about it." "But I'm not sure if he wanted to talk to me after this," said Applejack even back. "But you have to try, Applejack. How would you even know if it's true or not if we even ask him?" said Rarity. "So now go to him and talk to Violet Winds about this. Now go," said Rarity, and pushed her out of the boutique. And Applejack had no other options than to go to where he lived in town. She went up to his house and knocked on the door, and Violet heard the knocking on the door and looked through the window just a little bit the curtain, and saw it was Applejack. His heart started beating even faster. He didn't know exactly if he would answer, but just then he tried to be quiet so he pretended not to be home. But by accident, he pushed the guitar on the floor, so she noticed that he was home. Violet Winds, can we talk? He was so stunned. He didn't know exactly what. He couldn't even bring a sound. I know you're home, Violet Winds. I heard the guitar fell on the floor. Yeah, I'm home. I'm sorry, I'm busy right now. Can we talk a little bit later? But she didn't go. Please, Violet, we need to talk. It is serious talk, but now, please, can I come in? And Violet Winds had no other option, so he unlocked the door, let her in, and they talked. They talked for almost an hour about what he had been doing and how he actually felt for her, and much of this is unsurprising enough. Applejack was also in love with Violet Winds for almost enough with 6 months. Ever since he moved to Ponyville, she thought that he was very brave and strong and even a handsome pony. But she was afraid that he already had some other pony in mind, and didn't tell him until now. Violet Winston felt now even not so much nervous anymore, but he felt more confident by talking and telling Applejack how much he felt for her. Then he asked her if she'd like to go out with him tonight. And at first Applejack was still a bit doubtful if he will even go out with him. But then she realized at least try with one date wouldn't hurt. So she said yes. And he will pick up her at Sugar Cup Corner about 5 p.m. And she said that she would be there. Then she left and went back home. She told her about this to her family, and they all were overexcited, especially Granny Smith was happy that she at least had some pony that she might like. Because Granny Smith had this feeling that Applejack had some pony in her mind that she likes, but didn't tell her until now. And Applejack was surprised that even that Granny Smith knew about this. And even she tried to hide it so another pony would even realize it. But anyways, she tried to keep it calm the rest of the day, and then just 5 minutes before 5 p.m. Violet was there just a bit early, just to be right in time for, well, he wouldn't let Applejack wait for him. And just 2 minutes before the time was 5, she appeared, and she had a red rose in her mane, and she was wearing a dress, and that took Violet much as surprise. He commented that she looked very beautiful. She couldn't just stop blushing and said thanks, and they went to this new restaurant nearby. And surprised enough, Applejack very had much fun at the restaurant with Violet Winds. And he even said that she looked so beautiful at the nights with the light from the stars and the full moon, and she was more beautiful than ever, and he was more in love with Applejack even more. And right then he asked her if she would like to go out with him again, and she said yes. So for the next couple of weeks afterwards, they have been at least a dozen more dates. And her friends and family, all of them were happy to see that they were great together. And now, They had been dating for almost a couple of weeks, and sure enough, after almost their 15th date, they became an official a couple. Even they were together now. They even had a few fights back and forward to each other, but some were just minor fights. But we had one fight that was a major one. They didn't see each other for several weeks until they forgave each other for this useless fight. And Violet then said to Applejack that he didn't mean to say that she was a bad girlfriend or any sort of things. He was just so angry, and he didn't want to say it. He didn't mean it. And of course, Applejack had forgiven her for him for about it. And after they had been together for about 2 years, something bad happened. When Violet Winds was away from town, somehow nearby Applepalooza, he was there for some exploration. Then he struck down. There was a bad storm in the area. He tried to take shelter in under some cave or something, but just then, a big lightning struck right at him, and he fell to the ground. And if it wasn't for Brayburn and some other ponies from Appaloosa was nearby, saw him to the ground, they managed to save him just in time. But his injuries were so severe. If they would not even found him, he wouldn't survive. But according to this, to Brayburn, he fell to the ground so hard, it broke at least 2 legs and almost 4 ribs, and he had a strong concussion. Afterwards, he was in coma for nearly 2 months, and when Applejack heard about this just after the accident, she was very heartbroken. According to some of the doctors, they thought that he might not even survive the first night because of the injuries, and that he has been struck by a lightning. Even he had very much luck that he survived. But when he woke up after 2 months in a coma, Applejack was happy to see him, but when he woke up and looked at her, "Who are you?" And the doctor said he might have some amnesia when he woke up. And unfortunately, that amnesia was much severe when he first believed it. Apparently, the lightning and the concussion has caused Violet Winds to lose his entire memory. But luckily for that, Twilight knew a spell that could help him to bring back his memory. But only for the last few days, only the day before the accident, he had no memory of. So he has no memory about this accident. But what he has been told about it, he was terrified that he even survived that kind of accident. Even being struck by lightning and some severe concussion and even that fall, he thought for sure he would be dead. But even Applejack was happy that even he had so much luck of his help. And Violet Winds even thanked Brayburn and the other ponies who saved his life, who brought him to the big hospital in time, and they just said that they were just happy to be there. And just 6 months after has been recovered, Violet Winds proposed to Applejack, who answered yes immediately. And they had their wedding at the Sweet Apple Acres. And the entire Apple family was invited, and they came all over from Equestria. And especially Applejack was so happy to be married with Violet Winds, and they actually celebrated their honeymoon at a tropical island for the next couple of weeks. And just barely 4 years after, Applejack told Violet Winds that he was going to be a father. And how did he take the news? He was so happy that he flew up in the air. He flew almost like 10 loops and kissed her right there twice because he was so happy to be a father. And when his family was know about this, they were excited to be grandparents as well. And just a couple of months later, 2 daughters were born. And they both were, one of them was on Pegasi and one was an Earth Pony. And both Violet Winds and Applejack were so happy and proud to be married with each other and to have such a big family. The end.